So I've been meaning to do this video for a long time. This subject, I think that has to be addressed. It is time. Which is, what's wrong with NPCs and normies? Why are they the way that they are? And for a long time I thought, maybe it is because of their upbringing, their lifestyle, maybe because of poverty. Or maybe because they have had a fortunate, wealthy life without worries, right? If you don't have any worries, then you don't have anything to think about other than your satisfaction. And that if you live in poverty, of course, you have a lot of troubles, worries, so you don't have time to consider certain things, certain behaviors, certain ideas, right? And we have reached this point, which has to be said that, some people are just unaware, and I don't think that it is necessarily stupidity. It's not necessarily stupidity. Something else is going on here. It seems to me that something in their brains is shut off, sealed off. There's no other explanation as to why a lot of people actually behave in this, in this way, which is, in ignorance. Of course, apparently ignorance is bliss, maybe. But there is no self-awareness at all. And of course, I do suspect that a lot of people prefer to just live their lives, to go through their lives and have a little bit of fun. Because, of course, life is short. And if you address certain subjects, of course, you will not be able to sleep. You will not have a good time because they will haunt you. You will have nightmares. And it is only natural that most people avoid nightmares because, why would you? And this is maybe a moral question or an ethical question that most people refuse and reject the truth of the matter, the truth of this reality. And if they somehow come into contact with a little bit of truth, maybe if they stumble upon an idea, upon a perspective that isn't similar to their own, then they get afraid, they get startled, and they move along. I've seen this countless times where an NPC, a normie, is confronted with truth. And they just, pretend like nothing has happened. This is the problem, they go in this, the word would be, they go on autopilot. A lot of people are on autopilot, and I guess that mode is, comfortable being on autopilot because, the day goes on and you occupy yourself with your silly little errands and what have you, your labors, and you feel good, which is fine, right? But it will not make the truth go away. The truth will not be rendered invisible. It just can't happen. No matter how asleep you may be, or intentionally asleep, Because some people are intentionally asleep because they do not want to confront the truth of this reality. Right? So what is wrong with these people? Because they are people. Some say that they maybe don't have a soul, that they are just avatars here. What is wrong with these people? Because generally speaking, normally I do not engage with people for obvious reasons, but on occasion, and those rare occasions when I feel, energetic, I have a short discussion with certain people just to see what their reaction might be when confronted with certain subjects that most people pretend that they do not exist, right? And the usual response is, well, it is, I never thought about that. I never thought about that idea this way. And they seem to be open-minded. They seem to be engaged. They seem to be even fascinated by the subject. And then, just like that, a second later, they go on autopilot. And it seems that the information that you have given them about the truth, it simply disappears. It is siphoned from their mind, from their spiritual mind, whatever. And it's like it never happened. It's a strange phenomenon. And it is what it is. I have seen this in action so many times, right? And it is inexplicable. People just move on with their lives as if, I don't know, they're asleep. I call them sleepers or sleepwalkers. Something is going on here. This is not how human beings should be. This is not how they should behave. This is not how they should think. And yet here we are, something's going on, and nobody seems to be bothered, right? Even those who aren't normies or NPCs, they don't really address this problem in depth, right? They just say some people are normies and whatever. That's mainly it, right? You could say that this is basic human nature. This is a trait of the human condition, etc., etc. Humans tend to reject what might discomfort them, especially if it is information that might be displeasing. And so you could say that this is, this is a pathological or congenital trait of ours. Maybe. But it isn't, I would say it isn't normal to behave in this way. People are on autopilot. They just shrug certain things off. Terrible, horrible things. They just shrug it off like it never happened, like the information has been scrubbed from their memories, and they just move on with their lives as if they have been, affected by some sort of reset, a individual human reset of the mind. And it happens almost daily if they are confronted with something that is maybe a bit disturbing, right? I mean, you can't have a genuine, reasonable discussion with these people, with NPCs and normies. It is impossible. They talk about nonsense, silly, goofy, childish stuff, right? It is astounding. These people have nothing to talk about. They have nothing to say. They'll show you a meme video or something, right? They want to laugh. They want to laugh all the time, and they're still miserable. How is this possible? The question is, what might be the cause for this state of being, for this state of mind, right? I guess that it is for the best that you pretend that nothing is wrong, and maybe it is also for the best that you pretend that nothing is wrong and that nothing will ever affect you and just move on with your life like nothing happened. I guess that this is a form of being ignorant equals bliss, right? But I believe that if you are a genuine, decent human being, with a soul and a conscience, that you cannot suppress or inhibit or completely negate what is plainly obvious in this illusionary reality, right? We are living in a illusionary reality, and most people have grown so accustomed to it that they pretend like all the signs aren't there, like they don't exist, because I guess it's comfortable. People have accustomed to this zoo, to this menagerie. They cannot see the strings that manipulate them, right? If you are a decent human being, you cannot pretend like the truth does not exist, right? Just because it is comfortable or preferable. And if you are a decent human being with a conscience and a consciousness, once the truth has opened your eyes, unveiled, your true mind, whatever metaphor you want to use, once you have been acquainted with the truth of this reality and everything in it, right? If you are a decent human being, then you cannot remain asleep. You cannot remain deliberately ignorant. I don't think that is possible, because it will make you feel disgusted by your own behavior, by yourself. You are repulsed by yourself because you cannot pretend like everything is all right and I'm just here to have fun, right? You cannot pretend like this anymore once the truth has revealed itself to you, right? Once the truth has been revealed to you, you cannot just go on searching for silly, nonsensical fun, right? And this is one of the hallmarks of a NPC normie. They just want to have fun. They just want to do this, do that. They just want to engage in whatever pleasure, etc. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with all of those good, with all of that good stuff. But it seems that they only chase the material, right? And all of these, urges and desires. They only chase the satisfaction, right, of these cravings. And they always want to be stimulated. They always want to do this, go there. They want to travel here. They want to go, they want to binge watch silly third-rate entertainment for a few laughs, for a few goofs, right? All of this, ladies and gentlemen, all of these behaviors of people on autopilot is because most people do not want to think. Do not want to think, most of all, about the dark aspects, the diabolical evil that is here. Most people just shrug it off because they don't want to think about it, because it's too much for them, and who can blame them? But still, I mean, even if you are powerless in this reality, at least you should have the decency and the courage to address the matter at hand. Instead of pretending like the problem doesn't exist, like pretending that evil doesn't exist, you just shrug your shoulders and say, well, what can I do about it? Right? People don't even talk about the true evil that goes on here. It's astonishing, right? So this is why people engage in all of these farcical activities 24/7. All of the memes and all of that stupid bullshit and, overhyping video games and whatever. It is because people do not want to think about the horrible shit that happens here, because it will give them nightmares. They won't be able to sleep, and their little lives, the bubble that they've encased themselves in, will pop, and nothing will go as planned. This is what happens when you confront the truth and think about what's really going on here, right? So what is wrong with normies and NPCs? What's wrong with them? For some reason, they lack, or they deliberately reject, the ability that is innate, or should be innate, to think for themselves. Something has happened, maybe programming, indoctrination, upbringing. Some might say that something has happened during conception, right before their birth, or right after it. Maybe even some sort of spiritual intervention to lessen them as human beings, right? Who knows what's really going on here? The evil forces that control everything from behind the scenes, from behind closed doors. They don't like people who think for themselves. And in this day and age, the mindless hordes of normies and NPCs have multiplied like mushrooms. And their ignorance has amplified, and some of them, they are even proud of knowing nothing about nothing, right? What's wrong with them? It might be completely natural, which I don't believe completely. So it might be natural, but I would say that something has happened. Something is going on behind the scenes. It might be also technology at fault. People going too deep into their fantasies, the immersion, etc. Right? All of this entertainment, all of this senseless, pointless information, an infinity of pointless information everywhere, available with one click, right? All of these distractions are here to dumb down people by default, with premeditation. That is why they are here. And every single day, more and more people keep getting dumber and dumber, right? Which I thought to be impossible. I thought that we had reached the apex, the apogee of idiocy. But people keep getting dumber. And I would say that this is assuredly intentional, right? It is obvious that if you are a moron, if you are the village idiot in this day and age, then you will have quite a life, then that you will be happy, right? Which makes sense, because if you pretend like all of the bad stuff doesn't happen, and I mean the true bad stuff, not the silly nonsense that people worry about every day, the true horrible shit that goes on here every day. Most people pretend like it doesn't exist. And yes, because of this, most people have a good life, a good time. They have fun 24/7, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough, right? What else is there to say? Something is going on here, and I am shocked that so many people do not seem to be upset, distressed, right, unsettled by the gradual, incremental increase and intensification of stupidity on a scale that has to be unprecedented. There are so many dumb motherfuckers floating around this joint in this day and age per square, I don't know, meter. That should be illegal. But it has happened, and it will only get worse. And listen, I have observed people that are smart, that know how to use their head. They are intelligent. I have observed them for research purposes. These people are smart. They know how to use their head. Their heads are not empty. And yet still, they prefer to engage in silly, childish bullshit. Right? If you watch their videos, for example, some of the words, some of the sentences that they utter alludes that they know some stuff, right, about the truth, that they've done some research, that they've done some thinking, but they still refuse to address it. Instead, they choose entertainment, they choose video games, they choose watching silly movies and whatever else, right? Even though that they are smart, even though that they are aware and conscious, and they have a mind, they're no dummies, absolutely not, and they still choose to engage in silly matters just for a few laughs, just for a bit of fun, and I guess that being like I am is a bit of a downer, and I'm a bit of a negative Nancy, I guess. Most people, they just want to be upbeat, and they want to be bubbly, and they want to just swim through life with as little suffering as possible, right? And I always say, a lesson learned without suffering is meaningless, absolutely meaningless, right? All of that fun, chasing it 24/7, right? I guess it's one way to live. All because you can't stand, a bit of grief, a bit of, suffering, pain. That is why people, normies, chase thrills that are, hollow, because they don't want to confront that which might imply certain sacrifices, certain discomfort, etc. Right? And whatever, I'm not trying to change anybody. I just wanted to address this subject, which even today is startling to me. The way this normie NPC phenomenon, epidemic. This is the true epidemic of this generation. The insane increase of dumbness, right, it is unprecedented, right? You can do whatever you want, live your life however you want, right? Chase all of the nonsense that you think will give you what is missing, right? Whatever you chase and whatever you attain in life, they will not fill the hole where your heart should be, right? Because there will always be a little voice somewhere that will remind you, right, that maybe you should be doing something else with your life. Maybe you should confront what you know actually exists in this world, which is pure evil. Pure evil is here. It has always been here, and it has always tried desperately to keep people in a constant state of subjection, submission, obedience, right? Mindless occupations, right? The true purpose of this reality, it is to indoctrinate people into and to be enslaved morons. The role model today, the true example that all should follow today, is that of the village idiot. The village idiot today is king and queen. And everybody apparently wants to be the village idiot, right? Why is that? Because, I don't know. Maybe you have the answer. This is beyond just education, and this is beyond just learned behavior. This is beyond, your lifestyle, upbringing, etc., etc. This is beyond just learning certain patterns. This is beyond just, following the herd, being a sheep, being a lemming. No, this is something else entirely. This is different. This is built different, right? This is not because of a social status or because you are in a certain bracket or because, you were rich or poor or you had it easy or you had it rough in life. It's not because of your entourage, right? You only have to examine it closer to see that something about this is completely unnatural, right? Unnatural. This is an anomaly, right? NPCs and normies, they are on autopilot. Autopilot. It's so incredible to see something like this. It's like we live in a fucking movie, right? And we are the only ones who realize what's really going on here, right? It's dead ass like a movie, right? It's it's crazy. What's going on with this NPC and normie phenomenon? They ain't right. Something ain't right. Right? What's wrong with them? The explanation isn't what we assume, right? This is not natural. This is not natural, right? But that's about it. If you want to support your boy, I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. Thanks for watching. Never forget to think for yourself. Because if you think for yourself, you can't really be manipulated, right? You can't be bamboozled. Thanks for watching. See ya.